Have you ever felt isolated or misunderstood because you think differently, or see the world with greater clarity than those around you? Have you ever noticed how people who are exceptionally intelligent, insightful, or deeply reflective can sometimes unsettle or even frighten those they encounter? This isn't just a personal feeling or an occasional social experience. It's a profound human paradox that philosophers have grappled with for centuries. Today we delve into this very paradox through the lens of one of philosophy's most profound, and some would say, pessimistic thinkers, Arthur Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer's philosophy revolves around the idea that true intelligence, real, penetrating understanding, often places individuals at odds with the society around them. It creates a tension between the individual and the collective, a tension rooted not merely in misunderstanding, but in the fundamental nature of how most humans prefer to relate to reality. For Schopenhauer, the majority of people cling to comforting illusions and social norms that preserve stability and ease, while the intelligent confront truths that disrupt these illusions and challenge accepted norms. This confrontation can provoke discomfort, fear, and even hostility. Why does society tend to fear or reject intelligence? Why does thinking deeply and questioning the world often result in alienation or social isolation? Is intelligence truly a burden, or is it a misunderstood gift? In this video, we will explore these questions, weaving together Schopenhauer's philosophical insights with contemporary observations about human behavior and social dynamics. We will examine the paradoxical loneliness that intelligence brings, the threat it poses to social conformity, the discomfort society feels when confronted with uncomfortable truths, and finally, how intelligent individuals can navigate this complicated relationship. Ultimately, we want to understand not only why intelligent people scare society, but also how we might bridge this divide to create a culture that values deep thought instead of fearing it. So, if you have ever felt like your intellect isolates you, or if you're curious about why society sometimes reacts negatively to bright minds, stay with me as we uncover this fascinating philosophical conundrum. One of the central themes in Schopenhauer's philosophy is the idea that genuine intelligence inevitably comes with loneliness. But this loneliness is not born out of choice or circumstance alone. It is rooted in the very nature of perception and understanding. To think deeply and clearly about the world is to see it in ways that most people do not, and often cannot or will not see. This creates a gulf between the intelligent individual and the social collective. Schopenhauer famously described the majority of people as sheep, content to follow the herd, while the intelligent are wolves, solitary creatures walking a different path. This metaphor highlights the social distance that intelligence creates. While most are satisfied with routine, comfortable illusions, the intelligent mind perceives complexity, contradiction, and sometimes harsh realities. This disparity in perception can be alienating. The intelligent person's insight often reveals the fragility of social conventions, the superficiality of common beliefs, and the discomforting truths that society prefers to ignore. Because of this, intelligent individuals often find it difficult to connect deeply with others. Conversations that delve into the nature of reality, morality, or existence may be met with confusion, disinterest, or even hostility. Social groups often prioritize harmony and consensus over challenging discussions, so the thinker who probes too deeply can be seen as a disruptor. This social isolation is more than just a feeling. It is a structural consequence of how intelligence disrupts the status quo. But this loneliness is also paradoxical. While it can be painful and isolating, it is also a mark of intellectual independence and freedom. The intelligent mind is not bound by the simplistic narratives that sustain the majority. It is free to explore complexity and ambiguity. Schopenhauer argued that this freedom is a kind of privilege, albeit a lonely one. The solitary thinker may suffer social alienation, but they gain a kind of clarity and autonomy unavailable to the unreflective masses. This solitude also has emotional and psychological consequences. Being intellectually isolated can lead to frustration, sadness, or a sense of alienation from humanity itself. The wolf must learn to navigate this solitude, finding meaning not in widespread acceptance, but in the pursuit of understanding. Some find solace in art, philosophy, or deep friendships with like-minded individuals, while others retreat inward. Furthermore, the social reaction to intelligence can reinforce this loneliness. When society views intelligent questioning as threatening or disruptive, it responds with suspicion or hostility, pushing the intelligent further to the margins. This creates a feedback loop. Intelligence breeds isolation, isolation breeds misunderstanding, and misunderstanding breeds fear. Over time, this cycle solidifies stereotypes, such as the mad genius or the arrogant intellectual, that further alienate thoughtful individuals. This first chapter invites us to reflect on how society perceives intelligence. Are we, collectively, uncomfortable with minds that see more clearly? Do we fear the truths they reveal because those truths challenge our comfort zones? Understanding this loneliness is crucial for anyone who feels the weight of deep thought in a world that prizes conformity. In the next chapter, we will explore how intelligence not only isolates, but actively threatens the social order, provoking fear and resistance on a collective level. While the loneliness of intelligence is a deeply personal experience, its social impact extends far beyond the individual. Intelligent people don't just stand apart because they see differently. They often pose a fundamental challenge to the established order of society. Arthur Schopenhauer was keenly aware of this dynamic. For him, the majority of society clings to existing beliefs, traditions, and social norms, not necessarily because they are convinced these are true or best, but because they provide stability, comfort, and a sense of security. This status quo is like a fragile equilibrium, maintained not by certainty, but by a collective desire to avoid uncomfortable questions and inconvenient truths. The thinker who dares to question this equilibrium threatens the very foundation upon which social cohesion rests. When someone challenges accepted norms, whether in morality, politics, religion, or culture, they risk being seen as a dangerous disruptor. Schopenhauer argued that this is why society often fears intelligent individuals. Because they're critical, thinking exposes the gaps, contradictions, and hypocrisies within the system. Instead of accepting convenient illusions, intelligent people illuminate uncomfortable realities. This can provoke anxiety, defensiveness, and even hostility from those invested in preserving the familiar order. To understand this, consider how social groups function. Human beings are inherently social creatures who rely on trust, shared beliefs, and mutual cooperation. These shared frameworks allow us to navigate the complexities of life with a sense of predictability and safety. However, these frameworks are often based on tradition, authority, or consensus, rather than rigorous questioning. Questioning these foundations can destabilize the group dynamic, leading to conflict and division. Historically, we see countless examples of this tension. Innovators, revolutionaries, and philosophers who dared to challenge the prevailing wisdom were often met with suspicion or outright persecution. Galileo Galilei, who questioned the geocentric model of the universe, was famously condemned by the Church. Socrates, whose relentless questioning unsettled Athenian society, was sentenced to death. In more recent history, figures like Friedrich Nietzsche or Karl Marx faced social ostracism for ideas that radically questioned morality and social structures. This fear of intelligence is also evident in everyday social interactions. People who question deeply or refuse to accept convenient explanations may be labeled as troublemakers, elitists, or overthinkers. Such labels serve to marginalize and silence dissenting voices, reinforcing conformity and discouraging critical thought. Schopenhauer's insight extends to psychological phenomena as well. He recognized that the majority of people prefer the comfort of illusion to the discomfort of truth. This preference is rooted in a natural human tendency to avoid cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort experienced when confronted with information that contradicts existing beliefs. Intelligent individuals, by contrast, embrace cognitive dissonance as part of their quest for knowledge, pushing themselves and others to confront difficult realities. This divergence creates a cultural friction. On one side, the intelligent seek to unveil truths and promote understanding. On the other, the majority cling to established narratives that provide a sense of order and identity. The resulting tension is not merely intellectual, but deeply emotional and social. It touches on fears of chaos, loss of control, and existential uncertainty. In modern society, this dynamic manifests in many ways, from political polarization and cultural wars to the skepticism toward experts and intellectual elites. Intelligent critique is sometimes dismissed as elitism or disconnected from real life. The mass media and social networks often amplify simplistic or sensationalist perspectives, making it harder for nuanced or complex ideas to gain traction. This further isolates the thoughtful individual, reinforcing the fear and misunderstanding Schopenhauer described. Yet, despite this resistance, the challenge posed by intelligence is essential. It forces societies to reflect, evolve, and address contradictions that otherwise fester beneath the surface. Without critical thinkers pushing boundaries, progress stagnates and societies risk decay. The question then becomes, how can intelligent individuals engage with society in ways that reduce fear and resistance? How can society learn to embrace questioning instead of fearing it? These questions will be explored in later chapters, but first, it is vital to understand the roots of the fear itself. As we continue to explore why intelligent people often scare society, we reach one of the most profound and uncomfortable aspects of this dynamic: the fear of truth itself. Arthur Schopenhauer famously insisted that truth is not always a comforting or welcome guest. In fact, truth can be harsh, unsettling, and even painful. It exposes contradictions, challenges cherished beliefs, and forces difficult choices upon us. For many, the search for truth is not a priority. Instead, there is a widespread tendency toward what can be called chosen ignorance or willful blindness. This is not merely the absence of knowledge, but an active refusal to engage with realities that threaten emotional comfort or social cohesion. The desire to avoid unpleasant truths can shape individual behavior and collective norms in powerful ways. Schopenhauer recognized this human tendency long before modern psychology explored cognitive biases and defense mechanisms. He argued that the masses often prefer comforting illusions over uncomfortable realities, because illusions preserve their sense of security and identity. To face the truth requires courage, openness, and the willingness to revise long-held assumptions, qualities that can be exhausting and disorienting. Intelligent people, by contrast, often seek truth regardless of its consequences. Their minds probe beneath surface appearances, questioning the foundations of morality, meaning, and existence itself. This relentless quest can lead them to confront existential dilemmas, paradoxes, and the darker aspects of human nature that others might rather ignore. This can isolate the intelligent, as they struggle not only with external misunderstanding, but also with the internal challenge of facing sometimes bleak realities. The tension between truth seekers and those who choose ignorance creates social friction. When intelligent individuals speak uncomfortable truths, they may provoke defensiveness, denial, or hostility. The social response often involves mechanisms designed to protect the collective psyche from dissonance. Rationalizations, scapegoating, or suppression of dissenting voices. One can see this dynamic in everyday life. For example, whistleblowers who reveal corporate or governmental wrongdoing are often vilified. Scientists who challenge popular myths or advocate for inconvenient facts face backlash. Philosophers who question the nature of happiness or morality may be dismissed as pessimists or nihilists. This fear of truth is deeply tied to human psychology. It reflects a basic survival instinct. Maintaining psychological stability often means avoiding information that threatens one's worldview. Yet, as Schopenhauer implied, this avoidance comes at a cost. Ignoring uncomfortable truths can perpetuate ignorance, injustice, and personal dissatisfaction. Interestingly, the choice of ignorance is not always conscious. Many people develop cognitive habits and social environments that reinforce selective perception. Echo chambers, confirmation bias, and social pressure all contribute to a collective blindness that resists the insights of the intelligent mind. This chapter challenges us to reflect on our own relationship with truth. Are we willing to face difficult realities, or do we cling to comforting narratives? Do we recognize the courage it takes to seek truth, even when it isolates us or disrupts our social bonds? Moreover, it invites us to consider how societies might cultivate environments that encourage truth-seeking rather than punishing it. Education, open dialogue, and cultural values that respect critical thinking are crucial in this regard. As we move forward, we will explore the vital social and personal roles that intelligence and critical thought play, despite the fears and resistance they provoke. Understanding this duality will help us find ways to reconcile intelligence with social belonging and progress. While intelligence can be isolating and even threatening to society, it is also a powerful force for progress and transformation. Arthur Schopenhauer, despite his reputation as a philosophical pessimist, acknowledged the crucial role that intelligent individuals play in advancing human understanding and cultural evolution. Critical thought, questioning, and insight are not merely individual traits. They are essential social functions that drive change and deepen collective wisdom. The tension lies in the paradox that while society may fear or resist the intelligent thinker, it simultaneously depends on them for innovation, moral progress, and self-reflection. History is replete with examples where the bold ideas of a few have reshaped the destiny of many. Through science, philosophy, art, and political reform, the intelligence that frightens society at one moment often becomes the foundation of its future stability and growth. At a personal level, the intelligent individual must navigate the complex dynamics of social alienation and the burden of insight. Schopenhauer's concept of the will as a blind, irrational force driving much of human behavior underscores the difficulty thinkers face in bridging their understanding with the broader social will. The intelligent often wrestle with a sense of frustration or despair, confronting the persistence of ignorance and irrationality, even as they strive to illuminate truth. Yet, this challenge also offers opportunities for meaningful engagement and growth. Critical thinkers can cultivate resilience by embracing solitude not as mere isolation, but as a space for reflection and creative thought. They can seek out communities, whether intellectual, artistic, or spiritual, that value depth and questioning. Moreover, by developing empathy and communication skills, intelligent individuals can build bridges to those less inclined to question, fostering dialogue instead of division. Society, for its part, benefits immensely from encouraging and valuing critical thought. Educational systems that promote curiosity and skepticism help nurture future generations of thinkers who can navigate complexity rather than shy away from it. Cultural narratives that celebrate questioning and humility over blind conformity help reduce fear of intelligence. The path toward reconciliation between intelligence and society involves mutual effort. Intelligent individuals must balance their pursuit of truth with an awareness of social dynamics and emotional intelligence. Society, in turn, must learn to embrace the discomfort that comes with critical reflection, recognizing it as a necessary step toward growth. In practical terms, this means creating spaces where diverse perspectives are welcomed and debated respectfully. It means supporting free inquiry and protecting intellectual freedom against censorship or dogma. It means valuing not just answers, but the questions that challenge us to think deeper. Ultimately, intelligence is a social responsibility as much as it is a personal gift. When integrated constructively, it has the power to heal divisions, inspire innovation, and enrich human life. By understanding this dual role, we can better appreciate why intelligence sometimes scares society and how both can benefit from learning to coexist. After exploring the loneliness that intelligence brings, the threat it poses to social norms, and the fear of uncomfortable truths, the natural question arises: Is there a way to reconcile intelligence with society? Can the tension between the thoughtful individual and the collective be eased, or even transformed into a harmonious relationship? Arthur Schopenhauer's observations might seem bleak at first glance, but they also implicitly challenge us to seek solutions, both individually and socially, that transcend fear and alienation. The path toward reconciliation begins with understanding and empathy, not only toward others, but toward ourselves as thinkers and as members of a community. One key step is cultivating environments where curiosity and questioning are valued rather than suppressed. Education plays a vital role here. By fostering critical thinking from a young age, societies can nurture minds that are both intelligent and socially engaged. Such education should emphasize not just knowledge accumulation, but also emotional intelligence, communication skills, and respect for differing viewpoints. This holistic approach reduces the fear of intelligence as something threatening and instead frames it as a collective asset. On the individual level, intelligent people can benefit from developing strategies to bridge gaps with others. This means learning to communicate complex ideas in accessible ways, being patient with differing perspectives, and recognizing that not everyone is ready or willing to confront difficult truths at the same pace. It also involves finding or creating communities of like-minded individuals where intellectual and emotional support is available. Socially, there is a need for broader cultural shifts. Societies must move away from stigmatizing intelligence as elitist or threatening, and instead celebrate intellectual diversity as a strength. Media, public discourse, and cultural narratives can all contribute to normalizing thoughtful critique and reducing the stigma around deep questioning. Moreover, embracing humility on all sides can ease tensions. Intelligent individuals may acknowledge that they don't have all the answers and remain open to learning from others, while society can accept that discomfort is an inevitable part of growth. This mutual humility fosters dialogue instead of division. Technology and social media present both challenges and opportunities for this reconciliation. While they can amplify misunderstandings and polarization, they also offer unprecedented platforms for education, discussion, and connection across diverse groups. Harnessing these tools thoughtfully can promote greater understanding and reduce fear of intelligence. Finally, reconciliation is a dynamic, ongoing process rather than a fixed state. It requires continual effort, openness, and willingness to engage with complexity. By embracing this challenge, both individuals and societies can transform the fear of intelligence into appreciation, fostering environments where deep thought and social harmony coexist. In conclusion, while intelligent people may sometimes scare society, this fear is not insurmountable. With empathy, education, and dialogue, we can build bridges that unite rather than divide, ensuring that intelligence is not a source of isolation, but a beacon guiding collective progress. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of why intelligent people often scare society. If you've ever felt misunderstood or isolated because of your way of thinking, know that you're not alone, and your perspective is invaluable. Philosophy teaches us that questioning, critical thinking, and deep reflection are not threats, but vital paths toward understanding ourselves and the world around us. So, I invite you to embrace your curiosity, challenge your assumptions, and engage openly with others, even when it's uncomfortable. What do you think? Have you experienced moments where your intelligence or ideas made others uneasy? How do you navigate that tension between being true to your thoughts and connecting with society? Share your experiences and reflections in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join Etherness, a community dedicated to exploring philosophy, challenging ideas, and expanding minds. Remember, true wisdom starts with the courage to ask why. Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and keep thinking deeply.